everyone. I'm Dave March, the Spy Guy. So I'm kind of coming on here to give a few things that have been going on. So last night, thanks to Mr. Andy Signor, I did watch my drunk hate watch of Terminator Dark Fate. And we had even a couple people watch. Some guy came on, he's like, I don't know why you're on my screen. Are you supposed to be funny? And I'm like, dude, this is like a dare. I call it a bet, but it's like more like a dare. I dare you to do this. It's not the kind of thing that I'm going to want to do on this channel. It's not the kind of thing, a brand I'm going to be associating myself with. It was just kind of like, fine, I watched it. There you go. I'll leave it up a week and then I'll move it into private so that whoever wants to see me rag on this movie for a couple hours and be like, you can get your enjoyment. Another thing I did do that made me actually much more happier was on Saturday. A friend of mine named Mark Lardis, who's a fellow writer from some of the magazines I've written for, but he's written a lot more stuff than me. He's got books published and stuff like that. God, I need to get a new camera. It's really bothering me. But anyways, yeah, so he and I got together. We did an hour-long show. We were originally going to talk about like the 1850s, but we ended up talking the election and just comparing stuff to what's going on. And it was fun. That's probably something I'm going to be doing on a weekly basis with him. And we were both met on, despite the fact we were working together for years, we both met on the set of on this website that I belong to called Ricochet. And but I've been doing a members only show, kind of like a community show there. And I just realized that we were trying to find other historians on the community. And I was like, wait, if we take this off the community and make it commercial, we can go out and find all our friends from our writing career and all the stuff we do otherwise. And that's our plan. So we'll be bringing in people we know from the national intelligence side of things, fellow writers and historians to really talk about stuff maybe from the current perspective of what's going on today and just compare it from back when. And that's something we're going to be doing more of in the new year. The other thing, and then I wanted to talk about a different thing that just happened last night. Jean Le Carre, I believe John Le Carre. Yeah. He's one of the most famous spy novelists in the world. We have him to thank for the term mole. And he had a very interesting life. And he has numerous books and movies made about him. And I was going to get into it, a little bit of his life and biography here. So basically, he did start off himself a spy. And let me see. He was actually, Jean Le Carre is his pen name. He was actually born Cornwell, David John Moore Cornwell. And looks like his brother worked at the Independent. His father was one of those guys who was always scheming con man. I'm not going to get too much into this stuff. He joined the intelligence corps of the British Army in 1950 and garrisoned Allied occupied Austria, working as a German language interrogator of people across the Iron Curtain to the west. In 1952, he went to school in Lincoln College, Oxford, and was working also covertly for the British Security Service MI5, spying on the far left groups for information about possible agents. He was acting as a teacher. However, he started, got his master's, but was always an MI5 officer until about 58. He ran agents, conducted interrogations, tapped telephone lines, and effected break-ins. And then he started writing his own books, but because under the laws of the Foreign Service and Foreign Intelligence Service, he couldn't publish them under his own name. So he called Jean Le Carre, and for it was French for the square. And eventually he left to go work full-time in 64. He right around the time Kim Philby defected to the Soviet Union, and he started writing his most famous book, Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy. He's got other books out there. Going to go through his books and then films. So you guys there might have seen some of it. He's the guy who wrote Tailor of Panama, The Night Manager, which was on Amazon Prime, great big show there. The Little Drummer Girl that came out in 2018. He's did a little bit of acting himself, mainly in as John Le Carre. He also wrote books like Call for the Dead, A Murder of Quality, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, which was made, I believe, into his first movie, and introduced his character Smiley. That I'm going to do a review on that sometime in the future. He wrote the Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, The Honorable Schoolboy and the Smiley's People, which is kind of a trilogy. The Russian House, The Secret Pilgrim, A Legacy of Spies. He's also known for, he made The Constant Gardener, which you might have seen a long time ago. It's an okay movie. I would definitely not rate it too highly though because of things. But we also get, because of John Le Carre, a bunch of terms like the word mole. There's a glossary of like the terminology he uses in his thing that is often being used today. So here we go. Black variants, method of gathering information using indirect evidence or information to determine a fact by determining what someone doesn't know and is asking questions about it. The agent can then determine what that person does know. Bear leader, people charged with organizing and running an operation. Angels, local non-allied security services. Burrow, researcher. Circus, the British intelligence secret service. Competition, the secret MI5. Cousins, American intelligence. And that is a term that is used today in real thing. They call that guy, that someone think he might have basically introduced us to terms that were being used in the background, and that or it's like half and half. So maybe it was like he did he invent the stuff, or did he use stuff that no one could talk about when he started talking about them? Ferrets, the people who check for listening devices. Handwriting, an agent's habits, technique, modus operandi. Housekeeping, human resources department. Janitors, building security people. Joe, the term for an agent out in the field who is being operated by British and American intelligence services. Lamplighters, the people who carry out surveillance, clear drop boxes, intercept mail, based in active. Leash dogs, people are trained to follow pedestrians. Making a pass, make overt contact with an agent. Moscow Center, Soviet intelligence. That's another term that is used by the Soviets themselves, called themselves Moscow Center. Mothers, secretaries. Nursery, a training and possible detention center located in Sarat. Recycling, sending defectors back to continue spying before anyone knows they are gone. Scalp hunters, the people who handle the dirty work. Forgers are called shoemakers. Radio operators and code breakers are called wranglers. It's kind of an interesting little world that we reveal. Just talking for a bit here. And I'm going to talk about, I have not read the books. This is kind of interesting. Being the spy guy, I have not read any of his books. I've read it. I was growing up, I was a Frederick Forsyth and Tom Clancy guy. I might have seen Jean Le Carre's books in there and thought they were some sort of French thing. I did not put two and two together until I started watching the movies and TV shows later in life. The best version of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is not the movie that came out in 2012, I believe. The best one has got to be Alec Guinness, post Star Wars in the 80s, called, he did a TV series, which was called Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, followed up by a TV series called Smiley's People. And you can find all this on YouTube. You don't have to go buy it somewhere. The British don't seem to care as much about copyright strikes on, especially on the defunct networks that used to exist. So you can find a lot of these shows out there. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy starts with, it's basically a pastiche on the turning of a bunch of agents called the Cambridge Five. And they penetrated the intelligence services, got to a very high level. I will have to do episodes on all these guys later, Philby being most famous because he kind of got away with it for a while. They knew he was guilty, so they fired him, but they couldn't get rid of him until he eventually said, screw it, I'm going to just defect to the Soviets and expose myself in that way. Anyways, so this is more like if, say, Philby managed to stay in and got to the top section. And basically, Control is the name for the head of the British intelligence service. We never really learn his name. He is there, and he brings in one of his top agents, someone he knows he can trust, because this guy was, like, I think, a prisoner of war at a point where he was just not available to be able to ever spread the secret. So he briefs him and says, there is a mole. I have a bunch of suspects. I'm basing them off the old poem, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and he starts naming off all these top guys, including Alec Guinness's character, who he says is the number one guy suspect. Well, not number one suspect, but he's like, even my old loyal deputy chief is here, and I suspect. And then he sends this guy off on his agent off on a top level secret information agency, and it gets blown. And then we next wake up in it's months later. Alex Guinness as Smiley has a chance encounter with a friend of his, and he takes him off to drink and dinner, and a guy just starts drilling on him on hidden intelligence stuff that's been going on, the politics of spying, and all the little moves. And then it's a really great scene that helps to get, it's an info dump, but it's a great way of doing it, because the guy, Alec Guinness, is like, no, I don't really want to go over how I lost and I've been pushed out of the agency and all this stuff. But it leads to another situation where suddenly Alec Guinness comes back home and finds someone waiting for him. And it's like an agent of some note. And the guy has been, because when the agency got blown, there was a purge of the top level guys who were loyal to Control. So Guinness is out. This guy has not been kicked out of the service, but he's been sent off into exile, and he's been sent in to pick up Smiley and bring him in. And there's a car ride conversation where Smiley's like, hey, I think I saw you earlier today, but it's like, oh yeah, you did see me? Yeah, I've been looking for you everywhere, but I figured you'd come home with something. And he said, like, yeah, it's good that you found me, but basically I did try to dodge you earlier today because I didn't want to deal with whatever's coming next. And they drive off to this country home, and there's a guy there, and his name is Lacan. Anyways, he's like the deputy minister for the intelligence service. So the senior civil servant working directly for the cabinet level office. So he'd be to the Home Secretary. Sorry, not Home Secretary, the Foreign Services Chair. So Foreign Services Secretary, I can't remember what they call it. Foreign Affairs. Anyways, so he's there, and he introduces him to Smiley, and they talk a little bit of shop talk, and then they're like, okay, well, you have, and Smiley has some idea what's happening, but he's not too sure why he's being brought in. And then they sit down, and they're like, there's a spy who's been off grid for 6 months, kind of hiding out. and he's coming in from the cold, as it were, and because he has information that he also has figured out what Control knew and what this other guy who's been exiled, the guy who got captured in the blow up, and he says there's a spy at the top level of the thing, and you need someone at the top level of the intelligence services working for the Soviets. And then we're off. That's the first episode. I kind of gave some stuff away, but the rest of the series is great from a perspective. You guys should go off and watch it. Like I said, if you want to see Alec Guinness really knock it out of the park, go watch Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And if you really want to watch the movie, you can. I found it very hard to follow, even though I was someone who had Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, the series. And, it's kind of like the Dune movie, the first one. It's like, it just, so much is going on that doesn't make sense. Or you have to really know John le Carre's world and his spy terms to really figure out what's happening. So it's good for, I would say, watch the series first and understand, and then watch the movie so you can pick up, because there are some neat little tricks they do in the movie that are interesting, and some of the actors are great. Anyways, this is my kind of review of and remembrance to John le Carre. If you like this kind of stuff, you want to see more of this kind of stuff, like, share, subscribe. I keep giving you all the good stuff. I haven't really gotten to too many bad reviews yet of things that I don't like. So I'm going to say, yeah, like, this is like 96. I gave, you know what? The TV series is perfect. I'll give that one 100. Something's got to be 100, right? And if anything it is, it's Alec Guinness as George Smiley in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. So if you like this stuff, you want to see more, like, share, subscribe. Okay, where's my end button? And we're out. Bye.